And this is looking at a health breakthrough that I've been specifically using for over 7 years now. And first, I'd like to go through a disclaimer. Everyone is an individual, therefore results will vary. Please contact your normal healthcare provider before commencing or changing any diet or taking any supplement or starting any exercise program. Now, this is some slides that I've been using for quite some time, over a decade now, and I don't think that they have changed, especially these first couple. The Western world is in a health crisis, and this is a quote I got, anonymous quote I got a long time ago, over a decade ago, and still using it today, and I think it's very real. Health in the near future will be more sought after than money, gold, real estate, or any kind of material wealth. And back 10 to 15 years ago, the governments of the Western world didn't know where they were going to put their Alzheimer's and chronic disease patients of the future. And today we're seeing that everywhere in terms of we're seeing dementia wings and Alzheimer wings and chronic patient wings being put into old people's homes and aged care facilities all around the world. And did you know that heart disease is the leading killer for both men and women? Unfortunately, that statistic hasn't changed for a long, long period of time. And unfortunately, it does get worse. All chronic diseases are on the rise, and did you know that 1 in 2 people of the Western world now suffer from a chronic disease like cardiovascular disease, cancer and or dementia? 1 in 5 of all ages have chronic pain. 1 in 10 suffer from arthritis. There's more people than ever suffering from depression. Science suggests over 264 million. 63% of people over the age of 18 are now suffering from obesity, overweight, unfortunately. And sperm counts are down by 50%. Statistically, by the time you reach the age of 40, you have 6 hidden diseases. And some people that might come out another 5 years, and others it may be 10 or 20 years. But statistically, by the time you reach the age of 40, you have 6 hidden diseases. And a number of people will come up to me and say, hey, Wayne, I'm 50 and I actually feel absolutely fantastic. I said, that's great, but have a test to prove that you do feel fantastic. Okay, really important little quip there, really important to understand. This is not just an aging issue, it does affect all of us. And not even our children are spared. Science is suggesting that if nothing changes by the time we get to 2060, 1 out of 3 children will be diagnosed on the spectrum, unfortunately. 1 out of every 3. So the healthcare system today is like a tinder-dry forest in a bushfire season. All it would take is one match to cause a catastrophe, a pandemic. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Wayne Pickstone, so I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, a naturopath, herbalist, nutrition, mindset, wealth and business coach. I've had over 30 years in the wellness industry now, and I've been had over 100,000 consultations, and I'm a mentor to the wellness industry where doctors and functional medicine doctors and specialists and chiropractors and naturopaths and physios, all different fields in the wellness profession come to see me for their own health, but they also come to see me to improve their business and also their wealth and passive income as well, their passive income goals. So what I'm going to go through now is this health concept or this health breakthrough that I talked about right at the beginning, and they are called Redox Signaling Molecules. Now there's 7 important concepts that I'd like to go through here. So concept number 1 is Redox signaling molecules modulate all body systems. Importantly here, modulate, adapts, brings balance, homeostasis, whatever word we want to use, it modulates the cardiovascular system, the central nervous system, the respiratory system, the skeletal system, the immune system, the hormonal system, the gastrointestinal system, and also the skin, the skin around us as well. So these are the major systems, and think of anything within the body, a cell, then it goes into tissue, then it goes into organ. All these are modulated by redox signaling molecules. Concept number 2 is that they are native to the body, meaning we make them internally. So by making them internally, they are immediately active. They don't have to be digested once they're put onto our skin or once we actually touch a mucous membrane or as it's going through our esophagus. They're immediately used, and therefore there is no toxicity whatsoever, and therefore it can be used with any other product, any drug, any chemo, radiation, any vitamin, any supplement, anything. There is no toxicity, and it is immediately bioactive. Concept number 3. And the concept here is these molecules are communication in nature. So the analogy I'm going to draw here is a mobile phone. So I want you to think of a mobile phone that I'm sure you own. And to build a mobile phone, we need building blocks like components and glass and alloys. So think of all the things we need to build a mobile phone. But unfortunately, a mobile phone is totally useless without a SIM card. So I want you to think of now there's an emergency, and you have to get this emergency out to 12 of your friends. And you send this text out, and they have to respond in the next 5 minutes. That's how urgent this is. And you send the text out, and only 10 respond. Sorry, only 2 respond, and 10 don't respond. So only 2 respond, and 10 don't. And what you do then is you immediately go over to these friends' place to find out what's going on, because this is an emergency, and you find out, for whatever reason, that these 10 friends who didn't respond took their SIM card out. Now, you can't get in contact with them no matter how urgent your message is. Now, it's exactly the same with the human body in terms of we've got 50 trillion human DNA cells in our body, and every cell needs building blocks like the foods and the supplements and the proteins and the fluids and all the different things that we take in. But, once again, a cell is totally useless without its SIM card, and its SIM card is called Redox Signaling Molecules. So think of now there's an emergency. There might be an autoimmune disease. There might be abnormal cells. There might be arthritis, bone on bone. Whatever the challenge may be, it might be just a simple headache or sleeping problems or tiredness. Think of these as from semi-emergencies to emergencies. If you haven't got enough of these redox signaling molecules, the emergency is not noticed by the human body, unfortunately. So therefore, the healing doesn't take place. And what generally happens is one condition then leads to another, and we end up with multiple conditions or multiple diseases that take over the body, unfortunately. Now, just going a little bit deeper into the cell. So, as mentioned before, there's about 50 trillion human DNA cells in the body, and we've got these powerhouses called mitochondria, and we can have up to 7,000 or more mitochondria per one cell. And interestingly, the body is bathed in salt water, and science suggests, well, on average, we're about 70% salt water. So outside the cell, extracellularly, we are salt water, and inside the cell, we are bathed in intracellular with salt water as well. And both the extracellular and intracellular, even the mitochondria matrix, need to be alkaline for the body systems to work efficiently. So I'm just going to look now a little bit deeper into the mitochondria functions. For quite some time, we've known that the mitochondria, since the 1920s, makes ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and it makes this out of the nutrients from the cells, it breaks it down and turns it into energy. And we've known this for decades. We've known that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cells. What we have only known since 1998 is that the mitochondria gets the 4 molecules of salt water, NaCl, hydrogen and oxygen. It gets these 4 molecules and it makes all the different redox signaling molecules that are found within the body. Really important to grasp how they're made from salt water. Incredible. So what do? Concept number 4, redox signaling molecules should be balanced in the body, and think of, we've got these red species called reductive species. And what they do is they protect the cells by activating antioxidants like glutathione. Now the important word there is activation. So if you're taking antioxidants like ginger or turmeric or fish oil, vitamin C, whatever it may be, if you can't activate them, that means that these antioxidants aren't going to work at all. The major antioxidant is glutathione, and we actually make glutathione natively within our body. And I'll get to how we can do that a little bit more shortly. Up to 800%, we can increase our glutathione production natively by up to 800%. I'll show you how we can do that shortly. So imagine not being able to activate any of your antioxidants. What would happen to the physical body? So we'd end up rusting. So we'd end up like things like high blood pressure, heart disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, macular degeneration. So think of central nervous system problems. Even MS and Parkinson's are in here. Osteoarthritis, stroke, obesity, and diabetes too. So these are the major challenges that basically happen in concept number 4 when we're unable to activate our antioxidants. Now in the blue corner, we've got these things called reactive oxygen species, ROS. And what they do is they detect, repair, and replace damaged cells using the immune system. So what would happen if our immune system is unable to repair your cells? What happens is we end up with chronic inflammation because the immune system takes care, or should take care, of chronic inflammation. If we haven't got enough of these redox signaling molecules made by the mitochondria out of salt water, then what happens, and we modulate, the cells modulate their release, then what we end up then is an inflammatory or reactive process. We end up with things like asthma, allergies, bowel issues, thyroid, hormone imbalance, autoimmune, cancer, and then skin challenges. Now, can we have a bit of both? Looking at the left side, looking at the right side. If we go to the left, yes, I know people who are overweight. I know people who might have palpitations, irregular hearts, maybe some blood sugar problems. Then on the right, I know people who've got irritable bowel or bowel challenge and maybe some skin challenges and breathing problems, etc. Yes, you can have both, that's for sure. Concept number 6, redox signaling molecules modulate the release of stem cells. And this was first found the first time I saw it was from a Singaporean study, and now there's a lot of studies that have actually found that they modulate stem cells as well. So the major theme here is that the human body heals intuitively, but we want it to heal egotistically, meaning, hey, I want my headaches gone, I want my autoimmune disease gone, I want my cancer gone. That's egotistically. The cells or the body doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't even know the name of the disease. All it knows is that there is a damaged cell that has now got into the billions and the trillions and it's taking over the body. So therefore, from a redox signaling molecule point of view, it doesn't matter the name of a disease, because what these redox signaling molecules do is they detect disturbances in the cells and they protect the cells, and then what they do then is they turn a damaged cell into a healthy cell and they repair and replace these cells. Now remembering, if you haven't got enough of these redox signaling molecules, what happens then is the cells remain damaged and it keeps on proliferating or keeps on creating serious disease. Really important to grasp. Concept number 7, redox signaling molecules increase epigenetic expression. So this was a double-blind placebo crossover study where it looked at increasing epigenetic expression in the immune system by up to 31%, the inflammatory response, improving it by 31%, the cardiovascular, the healthy digestion, and then hormonal modulation as well. And then the study went further, and then what it looked at then is the EGR1 gene. And what they found then, it had actually influenced the genetic expression of 15 other genes. One of these is the serotonin receptor. So now it's looking at sleep and it's looking at happy hormones, etc., depression, anxiety. So it's influencing this in a positive way as well. Secondly, circadian rhythms. So think of all the different circadian rhythms that may be happening in the body, from sleep to menstrual cycle to cerebral spinal fluid, etc., etc. All this is modulated by up to 31% when we introduce the body to redox signaling molecules, because generally, people today don't have enough of these, unfortunately. Thyroid stimulating hormone, it improves that by up to 31%. Insulin signaling hormone, and diabetes is epidemic around the world, unfortunately, today. So it'll actually improve the epigenetic expression by up to 31%, 20 to 31%, proven by science, improving the insulin signaling gene. And right in the middle there, up the top, pathway number 2, it then actually improves BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So this is the growth and maintenance of our brain cells. So this is where it can help with memory and improve our focus and clarity in that as well. And then there's these other genes that we haven't talked about. There's quite a few of them that we can go further, but the next most important one is the NRF2 pathway. And this is our antioxidant health, and this is oxidative stress. And the NRF2 is critical for the production and activation of your master antioxidants, which we spoke about before, glutathione, and then it also upregulates superoxide dismutase catalase by up to 31%. Now, importantly here, it modulates that expression. So if someone's physical body only needs 100% or 10 times regulation of more glutathione SOD catalase, it'll only do that. If it needs more, up to 800%, it'll do that as well. So it modulates this expression. So therefore, it looks at it increases genetic expression, antioxidant health, and it improves athletic endurance as well. And there are only two ways of getting these redox molecules into the body externally. One is through a liquid. You can see that there on the left-hand side, redox signaling molecules, you can get it in a liquid. And I'll just talk about improving athletic endurance now. So it also helps with endurance and strength and recovery and mental stamina. So for those out there who want to know a little bit more about how it does this, so generally what happens is food will come in, the body will then get the glucose from that, then it'll be glycolysis, and then we'll get energy, and then we'll end up with lactic acid. That's typically the way we get energy. However, the body that can get energy this way ends up a lot better athlete. So we have fats, and then what happens is then fats are metabolized, so we have fat metabolites, then we have energy, and we have no lactic acid. So imagine not having any lactic acid after exercise. When you have enough redox signaling molecules, this is exactly what these things do, and by supplementing with redox signaling molecules, elite athletes have then found that their improvements go through the roof. So these are the Olympiads who then use it, all the para-Olympiads, all the different people who use it around the world, the elite athletes, even myself and others who aren't in the elite form, but normal mums and dads who are using it to get more out of their body where it doesn't hurt. Lactic acid is decreased dramatically, and you feel so much better after exercise. Now, concept number 7, continued. Redox signaling molecules, this is the other way you can get it, is in a gel. So right in the center there, that creamy colored one is redox signaling molecules. On the right-hand side, the company has then put together other products, but they do not contain redox signaling molecules. So this is improving how we can improve epigenetic expression of the skin. And what we do know from science, that when we're of the age of 25, our normal skin cells renew every 30 days, 28 to 30 days. But when we get over the age of 50, that goes to about 90 days, which is over a 200% decline in cell renewal. When you start using these redox signaling molecules externally, incredible things start to happen. So let's look at what can happen when you start looking at them externally. Top left, 84. Bottom right, 87. Look at the differences as her journey progresses using these molecules. So please, when you start using these molecules, take a selfie, because this naturopath in Norway did take a selfie. However, she said to the person that introduced her to it after 21 days or so that, I don't know if this stuff is working. I really don't think it's doing anything. But luckily, she did take a selfie, and then she looked at the before and after and said, wow, what a difference, what a difference. This is a good friend of mine, and this was her life. Every year, she'd have 2 to 5. She'd have a number of these skin things removed from her body. In the top left there, she'd have to have this Redox treatment or something similar. And that was her life for about a decade or more. And after taking these, or putting the gel on and taking the molecules after 18 months, and this has now been 6 to 7 years later, she's only had one removed in the last 6 to 7 years. Before that, she was regularly getting taken out every year and having an Redox treatment. And this is what she looks like today. So you can see the dramatic improvements there after 5 months. Injuries, I've seen incredible things happen with injuries where the healing is just incredible. This is an over 70-year-old in 20 days. Look at how much that has changed by using these molecules. Skin problems is incredible. This is an allergic reaction to to something that happened, and the doctor said we need some pretty strong corticosteroid creams and an antihistamine, etc. And she just went home and said no to the doctor's stuff and just started using the Renew 28. And in 4 days, that was the change. In 4 days, only 4 days. This is myself. I was being asked after a couple of years of being used it whether I had a facelift. So I said, no, but I think I know what you're talking about because the differences are pretty incredible. This is myself once again. I nearly passed out. This was down to the bone. I felt it scrape the bone. and nearly passed out. And as soon as I put the cream on, within 5 to 10 minutes, the pain went away, the bleeding stopped. And I just want you to have a think of how long this would possibly take to heal. So have that thought, how long do you think it'd take to heal? No stitches, no antibiotics. I walked on it every day. So think of I'm walking on it, it's probably opening up all the time, etc. So just have that thought of how long you would think it would take to heal. And this is how long it took me. 10 days without any scarring. And I normally heal with a colloidal scar. Even animals, it's fantastic for animals. The vet was going to put this horse down, but they just sprayed it with the Redox molecules, and in 35 days you can see the huge changes. And I think this one here tells its own story. A dramatic improvement. So let's go through these 7 important concepts once again. Number 1, it modulates all body systems throughout the body and every different system within the body. Concept number 2, it is native, bioactive, therefore no toxicity. Concept number 3, imagine your cells communicating with each other where they get the message. And if it's an emergency, the body will know exactly what to do with that emergency. How important is that? Concept number 4, imagine being able to activate any of your antioxidants, like improving your glutathione uptake by up to 800%, but only when it's needed. It modulates it. These redox signaling molecules modulate them. Imagine activating your immune system so it's able to take care of chronic inflammation. How important would that be? Concept number 6, imagine being able to activate your stem cells as well, as proven by the Singaporean studies and other studies within PubMed as well. And imagine concept number 7, imagine improving your epigenetic expression by a minimum of 20% and up to 31%, including the serotonin receptors, your circadian rhythms, brain-derived neurotropic factor, insulin signaling, etc. as well. And even at the skin level, improving epigenetic expression of the skin by up to 31%, and has been proven by some of the best labs in America to reduce fine lines by up to 100%. How incredible is that as well? So redox signaling molecules, the redox biochemistry is one of the fastest growing areas of science in the world today. And when I first started looking at this, and I spent a year going down the rabbit hole of studying and looking and going into all the different PubMed articles, etc. Back then there was only about 15 to 30,000 studies, but now there's over 100,000 studies on redox signaling molecules, and there's over 1,500 books on the subject as well. And this is the gentleman Dr. Samuelson, who actually stabilized redox signaling molecules. He's an atomic medical physicist, and I believe there's not too many in the world today. And he said it's the fastest growing science in Western medicine. And there are only 2 places where you can find these vital molecules: inside every living organism. So inside our cells, yes, but the problem is they deplete, and they can deplete dramatically. And I'll go through that shortly with you. And the other area, or the other way you can find it, is inside a bottle of a sear or in a tube of Renew 28. And now what I want to go into is the 4 ways we lose redox signaling molecules. Number 1 is through what we eat and drink. And the more junk food and the more acidic food and the more terrible food we eat, we lose these redox signaling molecules. The other way is through stress and also electromagnetic frequencies. These decrease our redox signaling molecules as well. The next way then is chemicals that they say now we can't get away from. They now say that even uranium has gone around the world many, many times because of the disasters that's happened around the world. And stealth infections like viruses and bacteria and candida and yeast that unfortunately can take over our body. Number 4, this is a big one, which is age. So happens with redox signaling molecules is we lose around about 10% of redox signaling molecules per decade from the age of puberty. So let's just look at some easy math. So if someone is 65, for example, and say puberty is 15, 15 from 65 is 50. Of the 50 trillion cells in the human body, that means that 25 trillion cells, just because of age, don't know how to heal the body, can't communicate to each other, can't do the job that they're supposed to actually do, activate our antioxidants, activate our immune system, activate our stem cells. just because of age. So if you put stress on top of that, chemicals, stealth infections, electromagnetic frequencies, this is why some people have early onset of disease, because if they tip all four the wrong way, it can really, really cause some serious problems. So these are the four major ways that we can lose redox signaling molecules. Or we eat and drink, stress, electromagnetic frequencies, chemical stealth infections, and age. As I mentioned before, there are only two places where you can find these redox signaling molecules: inside every living organism and inside a bottle of a serum or in a tube of Renew 28. Now, what a lot of people may do now is they may go on to Dr. Google, for example, and they may now try to type in a serum, for example. And if you do, you'll actually find two websites that really bag it. And these two websites will bag anything to do with natural health. One's a blogger and another is actually a website, and anything to do with natural health they don't like, and they suggest you shouldn't go to a chiropractor, a naturopath, a homeopath, you shouldn't take vitamins or supplements. So you can probably guess where that particular industry, what particular industry they're coming from, for example. And the other interesting thing is you should never go to Google for health. I don't know if you know this, but in 2019, July-ish, the algorithms within Google were changed, and the only information you can get about health these days is from pharmaceutical companies. Once upon a time, you used to get an unbiased approach, whether it be natural health or pharmaceutical companies, whereas today, 98% of any information you'll get on the first few pages of Google is all from pharmaceutical companies. So if you want to do your research in anything to do with health and redox signaling molecules, the best place to go to is PubMed. Go to pubmed.gov, as it says there down the bottom left, and that's where you should do all your research. So hopefully that's helped enormously in terms of what redox signaling molecules are, what this health breakthrough is all about. And there's only one company in the world that's been able to put redox signaling molecules into a bottle, and they have done it so well that it's actually taking over the world, and people are taking notice. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you. And please get back to the person who introduced you to this video so that they can then talk to you further about redox signaling molecules. So thank you very much.